So this is the lesson for 7-2 day one. What you're doing is graphing systems of inequalities. You're not only graphing one inequality on the graph, but we are graphing two inequalities on the graph and then finding the double shaded area. Where the double shaded area is, the solution. Now, it's very important that you pay attention to whether you have a dotted line or a solid line. When you go to graph the double shaded area, dotted lines, points on that dotted line are not solutions. They cannot be included in the solution because dotted lines don't include the dots on that line. However, solid lines are solutions. Any point that's on the solid line is included in the solution. So dotted lines don't include the solution, solid lines do. You're better off picking. If you notice this one, we graphed this line and we shaded below it here in the blue. We graphed this line, we shaded below it in the red. This area in the, I want to say it's like more of a grayish blue color. This grayish blue color is the double shaded area. So when you're asked for a solution, you want to pick a point that's in the double shaded area. So a point that would be in the double shaded area here would be like this point right here. That point is over to -3, up to +1. So when you go to write your answer, you would write inside parentheses -3, comma 1. You do have to put your answer inside parentheses with a comma. Remember, when you go to write points, your first number is how many you go over. Your second number is how many you go up or down. Now, on these questions today, there are multiple answers for your solution. There's lots of different answers that would work. You just have to pick any point from the double shaded area. So could we pick -4, 0? Sure. Could we pick -3, -2? Sure. Could we pick -1, -4? Sure. You could pick any point in that double shaded area as a solution. Now remember, you can't pick dots that are on a dotted line, but you could pick dots that are on a solid line. So could we pick -2, 0, or sorry, 0, comma -2 for this one? Sure, we could. But can you pick dots that are on the dotted line? No, you can't. So you can pick dots that are on the solid line or in the double shaded area. It's safer just to pick it in the double shaded area, and you can pick any point in there as your solution. So this is what the typical question looks like today. We have y is less than or equal to -x minus 2, and we have y is greater than or equal to -5x plus 2. The same rules apply as yesterday. You have to find the slope, find the y-intercept, decide whether it's going to be solid or dotted. Remember, it's going to be solid if you see the picture of the solid line underneath. So if you have the or equal to, it's going to be solid. And then you have to shade above or below. Below if it's less than or equal to, above if it's greater than or equal to. So when I go to do question number 1 here, the slope of this line, there's really a 1 in front of that x. So our slope, remember, we want to write slope as a fraction. So that slope is really -1 over 1. That really means that we're going down 1 over 1. Then your y-intercept is 0, comma, whatever your plus or minus is. So it's 0, comma, -2. Remember that this is where we start at. Now, looking at our inequality symbol, we have an or equal to. So this is going to be a solid line, and it's less than, so we are going to shade below. So let's go and graph it first. 0, -2. Remember, your first point is always somewhere right on that y-axis. That is 0, -2 right there. Starting from there, we're going to go down 1 and over 1. Remember, we always go over to the right. So down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. We're going to connect these with a solid line, and we're going to shade below the line. So here's my solid line. Always put arrows at the ends of your lines. and we're going to shade below the line. I'm going to shade like this today just to try and keep it a little bit neater. All right, I'm going to shade like that. So again, you should also, it's a good habit to always label your line as well. Now, for the second one, we have y is greater than or equal to negative 5x plus 2. Our slope is our number in front of our x. It's always written as a fraction. So this is negative 5 over 1. That really means down 5 over 1. Our y-intercept is always 0, comma, whatever our plus or minus is. So it's 0, comma, 2. That's where we're starting at. Based on our inequality symbol, I see a picture of a solid line here, so it's going to be a solid line to connect the dots. And I have greater than, so I'm going to shade above the line. So starting at 0, comma 2, I'm starting right here. And now from there, I'm going to go down 5 and over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. I lose track there. All right. So you just sort of have to estimate a little bit. I'm going to connect it using a solid line. Put arrows on the ends of my line. And I'm going to shade above. Now, above would be in here. So I'm looking for a point for my solution in the double shaded area, all right? A point in the double shaded area would be down in here. I can take any point in this green area down here. So again, because they're solid lines, I can include any point that's on that line. So is 2, negative 4 a correct answer? Yes, it is. Is 3, negative 5 a correct answer? Yes, it is. Where they cross because they're both solid lines, that is a correct answer as well. 1, negative 3. But you're just safer just picking a point in this here, in the double shaded area. So I would actually pick over to 2 down to negative 5. I would pick that point right in there. 2, comma, negative 5. Remember, when you go to graph points, your first number is how many you go over. Your second number is how many you go up or down. But again, there are multiple answers for this. If these were dotted lines, we could not pick points that are on the dotted line, and we could not therefore pick the intersection point where the two lines cross. Questions on that one? Let's take a look at the next one. Y is less than negative 2x minus 3. So what I have for this one is my slope is negative 2 over 1. That really means down 2 over 1. My y-intercept is 0, comma, whatever my plus or minus is. So 0, comma, negative 3. That's where I'm starting off at. Based on my inequality symbol, I don't see a solid line there. So this one has to be dotted. And it's less than, so I'm going to shade below the line. So I'm going to start at 0, negative 3. I'm going to start right there. From there, I'm going to go down 2 over 1. Down 2 over 1, put a dot, and then I'm off my graph. Now, you could work it backwards and sort of backtrack a little bit. Instead of going down 1 and over to the right, I could go over to the left 1 and up, just continuing that same pattern. So I'm just going to work that pattern backwards just to get a few more points on my line. It's a dotted line. Now, there were several of you who did not connect their dots on their graphs yesterday. Remember, even if it's dotted, you still need to connect it with a dotted line. You just can't put the dots there. And then I'm shading below. So below would be over in here. For my second equation, it is y is less than or equal to 1/2 x plus 2. 1/2 is already a fraction, so I'm just going to leave it as a fraction. You're going up 1 over 2. Your y-intercept is 0, 2. That's where we're starting at. So starting at 0, 2, I'm going to start right here. I'm going to go up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2, put a dot. Up 1 over 2, put a dot. Again, I want to backtrack to sort of make this a little bit more easily seeable. So I'm going to go over 2 and down 1, over 2 and down 1, over 2 and down 1. I'm just backtracking to continue that straight line. I see a picture of a solid line, so I'm going to use a solid line to connect the dots. And it's less than, so I'm going to shade below. So I'm going to use a solid line, arrows on both ends, and I'm going to shade below this line. Now, again, be very, very careful. When you go to find your solution, remember the first number is how many you go over. The second number is how many you go up or down. I can't pick dots that are on the dotted line. So these two lines cross right here. They cross at -2, 1. I can't pick that point because that's on a dotted line. I have to pick a point somewhere in the double shaded area. So I have to pick a point that's here in the green. Now notice there are lots of different points to choose from. It does not matter which point you choose as long as it's in that double shaded area. So I could pick like this point right here. This is over to -3, down to -3. I could pick that point right here. I could pick -2, -1. I could pick -2, 0. I could pick -2, -4, -2, -5. Anything in there would be fine. So I'm just going to pick -3, -3. But you have to pick a point that's in the double shaded area. Go ahead. I know it's going to be a little bit hard for you to try on your own, but go ahead and try this one on your own, please. All right, go ahead and try this one on your own. I know it's going to be a little bit difficult. Can I give you about 30 more seconds? So our slope for the first one is 2 over 1. All right, we always want to write that as a fraction. That really means up 2 over 1. And our y-intercept would be 0, comma, whatever our plus or minus is, which is 3. We would use a dotted line because I don't see a picture of a solid line. And it's greater than, so I'm going to shade above. Starting right here at 0, 3, going up 2 over 1. If I go up 2 over 1, I'm off the graph again. So I need to work a little bit backwards, all right, to continue that straight line going over 1, down 2, over 1, down 2, just to sort of continue that straight line. I'm going to connect it using a dotted line. Make sure you put your arrows on the end, and I'm going to shade above that line. For the second one, I have a slope of 2 over 1 again. So this is up 2 over 1. I'm going to start this one off at 0, comma, -5 because of the -5. It's going to be a dotted line again, and I'm going to shade below it this time. So I'm going to start off at 0, -5, and I'm going to follow that slope. I'm going to go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. It is a dotted line. Put arrows on the ends of your line. My board isn't letting me do that. There we go. And I'm going to shade below it. Now, this one is sort of a weird example. All right, where is the double shaded area in this one? Well, there is no double shaded area. This line, these two lines are parallel. I know that they're parallel because they have the same slope. This is being shaded above. This is being shaded below. There is no double shaded area. So what the solution for this one is, the solution is that there is no solution for this one. This is sort of a weird example, but it happens sometimes. All right, they could try and trick you on the Regents exam. There is no solution to this one because there is no double shaded area. Now, if this blue one was shaded above and this red one was shaded below, then you'd have this strip of answers in the middle. But this one, based on how it is, has no solution. Sort of a trick question there. Go ahead. This is the last one. Go ahead and try this one on your own as well. This is the last one. Can give you about 30 more seconds or so. Our slope for this first one would be 3 over 1. So that's really up 3 over 1. And we're starting off at 0, -4. It would be a picture of a solid line because of the or equal to, and we are shading above because it is greater than. So your first one should start off here at 0, -4, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. We are connecting it using a solid line. Make sure that you put your arrows at the end, and we are shading above. For the second one, we are having our slope of -2/3. That really means down 2/3, down because of the negative. And we're starting off at 0, 3 this time. You see the picture of the solid line because of the or equal to, and we're shading below because it is less than. So starting off at 0, 3, we're going down 2/3, down 2/3. Connect them with a solid line. And we are shading below. So the double shaded area on this one, is anything that is in this region, right? Anything that's in this region would be in the double shaded area. Could you use the intersection point on this one? Yes, you actually could, all right? But it's not exactly at 2, 2. All right, it looks like it is, but it's just slightly below, so we don't know exactly where that is. So just use a point that's in the double shaded area. You could use 0, 0 if you wanted to. All right, that's right where the X and Y axis intersect. That would be a great point to use. That's nice and easily identifiable right here in the middle. We could use -3, 0, -2, 2. We could use 1, 1. All right, there's lots of different points that you could use. Please remember the difference between hazy vixen. All right, hold on a second, my phone's ringing. Mr. Stonish.